that it? So we're missing Brian and Leslie? All right, here we go. Okay, that's working. Is this working? That's working. It's all working. Good. Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, there they come. As soon as I stand up, every time. I don't mean to not sound excited, but hello, Brian. Glad you could make it. Better late than never. All right. Life is moving pretty fast. We're going to move. We're actually not going to move that fast today. Because you've seen this stuff before. We're just going to go into it in detail. Today, we're going back to those logical connectives you read about 2 weekends ago, and or, right? So this text actually started with those, right? It said, hey, there's things called statements. They work like this. You can put 2 or more statements together. You can connect them with and. You can connect them with or. And then after that is when they're like, oh yeah, and you can do an if-then and make it conditional. And we've been talking all about conditionals so far. Right? Modus ponens, modus tollens, law of syllogism, law of contrapositive, all that applies to conditionals. So now I'm going to take a day, we're going to go back to, hey, what about ands and ors? Most of logic, you're going to need those conditionals. And so the ands and ors are going to appear, and they're going to make the conditionals a little bit more complicated. So we need to make sure we understand them, especially because these are going to appear in real-life situations all over the place. Okay? All the time, people like to join multiple ideas together, and you're going to have to figure out, wait a minute, but I like this part, but I don't like that part. Or I agree with this, but you combined it with that, and therefore, is the whole thing any good? I don't know. Relevant to today, right? Last night there was the presidential debate. Okay, politics plays into this huge. And that's like the politicians when they're speaking. Also laws when they're getting written and created, they love combining things together, right? Combine these 2 ideas. You can't possibly disagree with this idea because I've joined it to this one. And if you disagree with this, now you disagree with the whole thing. And you wouldn't want to disagree with this other idea because it's a really nice idea. Everybody likes this one, right? And so they do that. They try to combine the thing you like and the thing you don't like, and then you can't take the 2 back apart. But we now have the tools. We can take them back apart. We can analyze them and figure out, wait, if you put them together this way, it means one thing. If you put them together the other way, it means something totally different. And or give 2 very different results. So let's have a look here. The example they give for and starts with, it is raining, as one statement. The sun is shining is another. If you want to combine those, you would say it is raining and the sun is shining. What the heck kind of day is that? That's a very rare occurrence, wouldn't you say? When you got both rain and sun, although if you stand in the right spot, you get a nice rainbow effect. It's a wonderful kind of day when it happens, but it doesn't happen very often. And is the most selective. It is very particular. Take a look at the truth table here. There is only one version where the and is true. And yes, I do want you to recognize that symbol, the little caret there. The technical term for an and statement is a conjunction. I'm not going to be too particular on that term, but I do want you to make sure you recognize the symbol, okay? The only way the conjunction is true is if both sides are true. Any other combination, if Q is false or P is false or they're both false, you end up with a false conjunction there. It's highly selective. This is like when you're dating, or really before you start dating, when you're looking for somebody, trying to find a boyfriend or girlfriend, and you say, well, I would like to find somebody who's handsome or or beautiful, or whatever version of attractive. Right? I'd like to find somebody who's smart. I'd like to find somebody who's funny. I'd like to find somebody who can cook. Right? I'd like to find someone who shares my interests. The more things you start listing, do you mean and? You want all of those? Somebody who's smart and funny and good looking and can cook? Like, you're really narrowing it down, right? Every time there's fewer and fewer people in your pool of potential partners to pick from. That's what and does. Now compare that to or. The disjunction, or, used with a little V here, notice it's the same symbol but flipped upside down. And we'll be using the inclusive or, which means we still count when both are true. Notice we have the opposite results on our truth table. True, 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 and only one instance of false. The or can only fail if both sides fail. As long as you have one side, the other, or both of them, you'll still get true or the disjunction there. That's very handy, right? That's being less select. That's saying, well, I can totally date somebody who's smart, or somebody who's funny, or somebody who's attractive. They don't need all of those features. Just one will do, right? You're very open. You'll date, well, that seems to be almost anybody, right? Maybe you want to be a little more selective. That's up to you, personal choice there. But that's the difference, right? One very narrows it in. One leaves it very wide open, especially when you start adding multiple features together. This is just two. And combining 3, 4, 5 makes a big difference. So what we're going to do today is we're going to practice a little bit with some of these. I've created some statements of my own about my favorite character, Batman, and some of his acquaintances. And we're going to combine these statements together using ands and ors, and we'll figure out what ends up as true and what ends up as false. Hello. Oh, you're back. I think you were disconnected earlier. Okay. Anyways, because I know you guys don't know everything about Batman like I do, I have already given you the statements. Okay? So each section is going to give you facts in bold. These are accepted as true. We are going to work with the working knowledge that Batman is rich. That is true. Batman is a hero. Lex Luthor is rich. Lex Luthor is a villain. And I know he's usually a Superman villain, okay, but he's been in Gotham, he deals with Batman, and he's like the only big-name rich villain. Like, none of Batman's well-known villains are known for being rich. So that's why I went with Lex Luthor, because I wanted a matching content there. Anyways, we can combine these together, and we can see what results. So the first section deals with ands. So I'll walk you through the first example in each section here. So we have Batman is rich and Batman is a hero. So when we analyze this, we're going to notice, hey, we're using the and connective there. That means I need both sides to be true. Let's check each one. Batman is rich. That's what I said up here. That matches. We know it's true. This side, Batman is a hero. We've said that right there. That side checks out. It is also true. And now I have both sides are true. This whole statement I can say is true. In the next one, I've given you some additional facts about these characters. Catwoman is a hero. Catwoman is a villain. Catwoman is not rich. Okay, she's a very interesting character, right? Playing on both sides. So, is Catwoman a hero or is Catwoman a villain? You can state it that way. She is a hero or is a villain. So now what do I need to make this true? I only need one side. Right? So if you would agree Catwoman is a hero, as I've stated there, that side is true. That's enough. We can already state the whole thing must be true, regardless of whether or not she is also a villain. Although it does so happen that this one is true as well. That is not required. Right? You only need one side to be true for an or. I know that probably wasn't the best one to pick to start with, right? Should have gotten one that was only one side. I trust you'll figure it out. We use these words in everyday life. We're just getting much more specific now. All right, the third section. I've introduced no new facts. This is just some new combinations. Now I'm mixing it up. We're going to see ors, some ands, some ors and ands, maybe ors and ors, ands, multiple ones here, right? D through G combine possibly 3 or more statements together. Now we've got an interesting one. Right? Catwoman is a hero and a villain. Wait a minute. Before we said Catwoman is a hero or a villain. Well, we're doing the same thing. Identify your connective and means I need both sides. Notice on this side I have the full written statement. Catwoman is a hero. This side I just said a villain. That's not a sentence. You can't just say a villain. What about a villain? I think we can all interpret English and understand that on this side is the statement Catwoman is a villain, right? So I've also rewritten these to be a little bit more natural of a language. You probably wouldn't have said it the way it is written in 2A up there. Like in everyday speak, there's no need to say Catwoman so many times, right? Catwoman is a hero and a villain. You don't need to repeat yourself, okay? So I want you to also recognize that shift in the English written form a little bit. But it still checks out. Villain is true, hero is true, both sides are true, whole thing we can say is true. That's all we have to do there. Now part 4, I'm going to have you analyze a whole argument. I want you to determine if it is valid and then identify which form of reasoning we're using. I'm only checking for validity here, not soundness. All right? So some of these will introduce different facts or might contradict previous facts. That's okay. We're not relying on those old ones anymore. We're just saying, as stated here, assuming each premise is true, is the conclusion, which I have flagged with a therefore each time. Therefore, this is my conclusion. Does that conclusion have to follow based on these rules? If not, it is not a valid conclusion. You can state that. Let's check the first one here. If Batman is a hero and Catwoman is a hero, then Gotham will be safe. Aha. So now we've got a conditional with the if, but also conjunction with the and. That if part relies on the conjunction. You need both of them, both halves, both Batman is a hero and Catwoman is a hero, need to be true to make the whole hypothesis true that leads to the conclusion Gotham will be safe, right? So let's check. What else do we have here? We have the statement, Batman is a hero. We have the statement, Catwoman is a hero. All right, so we have fulfilled this statement, right? We've got, call it statement P and statement Q. This is saying if P and Q are true, then I get, we'll say that's statement R. Here's statement P, it's true, check. Here's statement Q. It's true, check. Both are true. So my hypothesis is fulfilled. I can State the conclusion, therefore Gotham will be safe. That was R. Yes, this is valid by modus ponens. That's not what I want. Zoom out just a little bit. Okay, and all you need to write there on these would be the valid by modus ponens part. You don't need to mark up and label your statements like that. I'm doing that for the clarity of the example. But if it helps you, feel free. I gave you the Word doc version, so you can like highlight and color code them if that would help you. But you've got to recognize that we're still using the modus ponens structure even though we've expanded this hypothesis. Kind of like, was that the last one we worked on? It was like number 23 or something, where the conclusion was like in parentheses. That's what we're doing here. We're grouping these together. All right. Any questions on those then? No? Okay, then I leave you the rest of class time. That's almost 30 minutes to finish these questions, which shouldn't take you that long, maybe 15 minutes, 20 tops if you're typing slow. Okay? They weren't intended to be too complicated. So when you are finished with these, go ahead and switch over and work on the weekly homework exercises, because those are a bit more complicated. Okay?